We're good to go.
Should I fire on?
Yes, sure, you can.
Okay, awesome. So, like I said, I'm the designer or communications assistant at Advocacy. And what I'll be talking on today is the role of communication in successful advocacy campaigns. So, the keywords I would want us to pick is the word advocacy and communications. So, when we are talking about communications, we are talking about how you put your word across, how to structure the content of what you are saying, how to pass your message. Because in communication, there are two key people that you have to put attention on, and that is the sender, being you, which I'll believe you wanting to pass a message across, and the receiver, that means the perception at which this person takes in your message, right? So in that, we now have advocacy. Advocacy is your step of change. Advocacy is you taking, should I say, demanding for change in its own littlest form. Your form of advocacy can be demanding that um there's somebody that's supposed to pay for their light, they didn't pay for their lights, and everybody in the house pays the light bill. Advocacy can be you saying, yeah, I'm paying 3K, you should pay your 3K. It's not a question, it's you standing your foot on what you believe is right. Now, in the term of what we are talking on today, it is you standing your foot on the rights and the promises given to you by elected officials. So, as citizens, you have your rights, right? You have right to freedom, right to speech. Now, communication is utilizing your right to speech, or so that you can make change in whatever community you are in. Are, are you all following me to this point? You can just react with a thumbs up. Awesome. So going straight off, the first thing is the introduction. I gave very brief definition of each of these concepts. So what is advocacy? Advocacy is the act of pleading for support or like recommendation, is working to influence decision making at various levels and empowering individuals and community to have their voices heard, right? So when you are saying that you are empowering yourself and empowering communities to ensure that there is change in your own way, in your own community, in your locality. I don't know how many people actually heard Zulu's session. Exactly. Zulu told us the way to go through the legal step of actually speaking to your House of Reps, like what I said, House of, yeah, of knowing everybody in charge in your own local government. It can start with your local government, because you cannot easily access the president, but you can easily access those in your local government area. You literally can go to the office of, the in Lagos here we have LCDA, so you can go to the office of the LCDA council chairman, or in places where there's no LCDA, you can go to the office of your local government councillor. You can go and demand for change. It's not a crime. You can tell him, you promised us an hospital, we are yet to see it. Now, that is advocacy. Communication is not how you pass that message. And I would like to explain that people ask themselves, why can't I just go and match and say, yes, give it to us? No. So this is actually explaining why communication matters in advocacy, because two of them are intricate, two of them are very important. And in advocacy, we actually pride ourselves with the communications department, because we believe they are actually a very core part of the team. So apart from advocacy, where we track promises, I know you know Promise Tracker, we track promises of elected officials. We also advocate on some of these promises to ensure that they are followed up, because we did not beg you to promise us that you give us road in so locality. You promised us this. So now we at Advocacy, we follow up on that promise that you have made. So how or why is communicating this issue you are passing on to this elected official important? So why are they important? First of all, it raises awareness. So when you raise awareness of a promise or a problem, you increase the microphone right? So that the average citizen that did not see it or hear about it will be informed. It's, if you follow up on yesterday's session, because we had a session on X when we're highlighting, because 2 days ago on the 20th of this month was World Day of Social Justice, and yesterday's session we're highlighting the barriers, or should I say the aspect of Nigeria that is marginalized, right, where we are suffering. And when we listed this thing out, there were a lot of people like me that did not see things in that angle. Now, when you raise awareness, this X spaces is a way of raising awareness. It's also a way of advocacy, because when we raise awareness, people can also know the problem. You cannot demand for change when you don't even know the problem. You cannot demand for change when you don't even know what change you want to start from, right? So it informs the public about the issue you want to address. The other thing is also it influences decision makers. So, like I said, elected officials have made promises to us, right? They had promised us that they are going to, I would use, which one is the easiest now that everybody's facing? Okay, I'll say electricity. That they are going to give us power supply. So there was a promise by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu where he said that power will be supplied to houses and um business alike, right? Now, if you raise awareness and people are informed, and you keep raising awareness not only to the average citizen but also the elected officials, you can actually, you might be scrolling, it's very simple how most of them use social media. You read their tweets, you see that they tweet, especially you see President Tinubu actually go through his Twitter. There was a period where I said he wants to avoid Twitter for a while because the curses they are belaying on him is very scary, right? So they go through their social media handles. Apart from that, they have essays. That's why they have special assistants, social media assistants that also give them information on what people are advocating for or the changes you are demanding. So it can influence the decision making that, okay, yes, we've promised these people. Why have we not done that? It can even be that they've signed off that bill that go have it done. It can now also bring in for them to take actions to ensure that that thing that you are demanding for is done, right? It also builds support. Apart from the fact where you bring it to awareness of people that are to make decisions, you create a bond among like-minded people. See advocacy community, for example. We are like-minded people where our goal or our main goal is actually to demand for change. We are here saying that we deserve our basic rights given to us. And because of that, anytime we are sending out a press release or we are advocating for change in our own way, we inform our community because they are our support system. You are our ally in ensuring there's change in Nigeria, right? So communication is important because without this step I itemized, we can just be wasting our time. We can just be yapping about. We it's just like, if I did not if we did not explain a promise to you in the simplest of form and tell you join us to ensure there's change, you can be looking at us and saying, why should I join them? I don't even understand what they are demanding change for, right? So if the average citizen is informed, you build a support system for yourself, and the decision makers are aware for the advocacy that you are creating, then definitely there's going to be change. So in that way, it leads to change in policies and even behavior and social progress. Because imagine when elected officials know that if they make promise to you, they have to fulfill it. Would they be making empty promises? No, they will do proper research so that when they talk, they know that these people will follow me back to back. These people will be at the back of my leg. So definitely, they would also want to, anybody that wants to take up the next man to maybe your local government chairman, maybe your state government, like your governor for any of you your states, wherever you are located, or even the president, he knows the state is coming to head. or the country is coming to head. So it would not just be dropping promises for you people like it's dropping water. Instead, it would create promises that are, that are agile. So it's saying that it is going to be something they can track. It's something that they know they can fulfill. It will not just be off the bat of their head or saying they want to make any promise they can to us. Because a lot of philosophers has made us understand that the common man has a lot of power. Now, in utilizing communication is the only way you can pass off that message accurately to the necessary audience. So that being said, there are elements, or I could say there are key elements of effective communication. I can be telling you, oh, communicate, communicate, but if I don't tell you how to, I am also not communicating with my community, right? Exactly. So, just to confirm, I hope I'm not talking too fast, because I know I can be quite a fast talker. Thumbs up if you have been following me. All right, I'm happy. Yay. So, for okay, someone's hand is raised. I'm here. Or was it a thumbs up? Okay, I believe it was meant to be a thumbs up. So, for effective communication, there are 5 aspects that you have to put your attention in, or elements that you have to put your attention in. First one is whatever message you are passing across must be simple, it must be clear, it must be concise. That means it should be straight to the point and it should be easy to understand, so that people that are not working in government officials or people that are not as learned could understand what you are saying. If I say a perfect example is, you ask me for direction and I tell you, oh yes, when you go straight down you see a T junction, in the middle you will see a signpost, then you turn left. Definitely anybody can understand that. But then you ask me for direction, I tell you you would walk 1.5 miles and meters, you walk 1.5 meters, then when you get there you turn to the north, towards your north axis, you do a 90-degree, then you walk straight. Both of them might be correct, but there's one that will give more headache than the other. Now, I want people to support me. I want people to join me in my advocacy, but I'm using big grammar. How? People might not read it because it's very noted that we have a lot of content to consume on social media. So there's a lot that people can read through. So instead of me to watch something that will make me laugh, like I watch a lot of cat videos when I'm trying to relax, if I'm not advocating. So instead of me to watch two cute cats meowing, you want me to you open dictionary just because you want me to create change. How? Right? So any message you are passing should be very simple. It should be concise. It should be straight to the point. Do not waste our time because other people too are busy. Advocacy is something that should come as a passion, right? But that does not mean we don't have to eat to survive. So everybody also have other things they do. The second thing is your target audience. You have to highlight. Am I reaching out to Gen Zs, young adults between 18 to I think 27? Am I reaching out to millennials, a young adult between the age of 28 to I think 38? Or am I reaching out to the older adults, from people from 39 to 50? Or am I reaching out to old people, and that's from 55 to 70? If you are reaching out to these people, you know that the way you will write your message will be different. You also have to ask yourself, what states are they from? Are these people educated? What's the rate of education that these people have? Would I have to use their native language to pass this message across to them? Or would I have to use English because these people are learned enough to read this message? So if I'm going to tag this person, how do they go about sending letters in this state? So you have to know your target audience. You have to be familiar with knowing the people that you want to reach out to. I might go to a state now where everybody speaks, let me say, Yoruba, and I want the citizens to join me to advocate that they should build the hospital in their local government. Then when I go there, I'm speaking in grammar, I'm speaking in British English, yeah. And yo, hi, what's up? How you doing? For a minute, they will think I'm like maybe a fraud. But when I speak to them in their native tongue, it creates trust, obvious trust to these community members that I mean well. So I will speak to them in their native tongue, explain to them what I want to tell them. And they would also show interest to join me to advocate for the hospital that they know would benefit them. Right? So the next thing is compelling narrative. I want to go to this community of Yoruba people to tell them they should give them hospital. And I'm telling them, hey, what's up? Health is wealth, and that's on period. So because of that, you all should demand for your hospitals. Like, where is the empathy there? How should I know? Like, it makes no sense. But when I go to meet them and I do proper research and I realize maybe they had lost 5 important people or people that was loved. There are some people in communities that they create a lot of impact with their presence where people love them automatically. It can be young children. Now, maybe this community member had lost 5 people because of the distance of the hospital, the distance of hospitals from their community to other localities. And I go to meet them and I tell them, I'm sorry for your loss. You have lost 5 important people that would have grown up to be presidents, governors, even gone far because they have made this community a joy. It is sad that we have to lose, but do you know you will lose more if you don't demand for the hospital that was promised to you? And I give them the name of their local government chairman that was promised to you by this person. Because this person has promised you 3 years ago and is yet to do it. And this is his final time. If he doesn't do it and he leaves, do you know what this next person will promise you? And with this hospital, you would save 10 more lives. In fact, I will name maybe the person that died. This another maybe let me say Joy. Another Joy would not die. You will save the next Joy so that this Joy will go up. You see, I'm telling a story. I am reaching out to the side of the pain they had felt, bringing it back to their side. So when you tell compelling stories or narratives for them using data, you don't just bring up names from the top of your head, but using data, using the feelings or research you have made in the community. Even you as a community person, you would know the effects that promise that has not been fulfilled has had in community members' life. You give it to them in the simplest of form. Definitely people would be involved. So you should also now question the channels at which you want to advocate for change. So this channel I'm telling you is using community members to match physically, but there are different ways you can also advocate for change. You can try by sending letter. So you can also do traditional media, going to TV stations, going to TV houses, going to radio stations, talking about this promise, advocating for this promise to be met. Or you can send out letters to the ministry, the office responsible for that promise, right? If maybe it's the governor that said I will do this, send a letter to the governor's house. If he said it's about the hospital, send a letter to the minister of health, right? Send a letter to people that are responsible for that promise to be met, because you are trying to remind them. Yes, in the letter you remind them you've made a promise, you are here to fulfill it, and we wait for it to be fulfilled, because this is the effect of not having quality hospitals or facilities around this community, right? Then you hold community events. Community events is something like what I told you, speaking to community members all in one, explaining to them, reaching out to the empathic side of them to make them join you in the movement of change you are creating. Then you can use social media. A perfect way of how social media advocacy is interesting is answers. When the first answers protest happened, it was like a joke, right? People just made a tweet and they're like, oh yeah, the protest is going to be happening in all states. Let's protest. Youths are dying, and that was how NSAS protest started, right? So social media has also been used to anchor a lot of protests. We at Advocacy have actually held a lot of social media advocacy campaigns. I would say advocacy campaigns. We've also sent out letters to offices of respective offices of people in charge of fulfilling a promise. We've also held community events once or twice, and we've also had communities. A perfect one is our beautiful community that we have here, to ensure that everybody's understand we are one. It's one Nigeria. A promise not kept in Ogun State is still a promise not kept in Lagos. Because if everybody in Ogun is suffering, then they want to migrate to where it's good. That's Lagos. Overpopulation will cause what? Exactly. So no matter wherever you are, it is our duty as citizens to ensure that we properly communicate using the multiple channels to advocate for change in our own way. So also we have consistent messaging, follow up. Because I said when I said we send letters, I don't say later, I say letters. So when you send letter to the office of the governor today, you now rest thinking you are seeing it. No, no, no. What if the letter it fell inside maybe a water, or maybe it disappeared in thin air? Don't worry, we have plenty. How much is paper? How much they print out paper? What do you mean? You send follow-up one. I hope you received the former one. We are still waiting to hear from you. After that one, okay. Oh, he thinks it's over. You send another one. Then after a while, you are sending this. You're also, speaking to community members. At the same time, you're also posting it on social media. Let them feel the impact of that promise not being kept to community members. Let them know the effects of that promise not being kept. So on that note, we have crafting your message effectively using words. That means the power of words. While I've given the element of communication, I've explained what communication is and how it is important with advocacy. It's also important to know how to craft your words. So in anything that involves communication or anything that involves strategy thinking, the first thing you should always know is who are your audience, who are the people you are speaking to. So first know the audience you want to write this content for. Is it a content or letter or whatever manner you are using to send this message or pass your message? Who are your audience, right? Then focus on the problem. Write the problem. If your problem is reminding the governor on the promise on health, don't say why you fulfill that promise of health, don't forget that you owe us water too. No, the issue of health is different from the one of water. When it comes to the one of water, after you will follow up that one again, right? So know the specific problem you are advocating for and you are demanding change for, and don't waver. Because when you're focused, if you put your focus on it, then they know that you're not changing words. You are focusing on that problem to find solution on it, right? So that is how you would also look at it when you're writing your content. So you offer solutions. So while you're writing your letter, for the hospital, and maybe I would say the governor had promised that yes, we are going to be building hospitals, this. When you are reminding them on the problem, you can also say it is imperative that you take action on this because this. And there are community members that are willing, because we have an institution around that will be willing to work as staffs here. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. You offer your own little solution, and if there's no solution that you have or you can prefer, you can also remind him on the promise he had made, because he made that promise at the initial stage. So then use emotions, like I was explaining initially. Empathy is very important. Use emotions, explain your points, make them realize the impact of them not fulfilling that promise to the community. Make community members to realize the impact of this promise not being fulfilled to you or to them as community members. Then a CTA. So when we say a CTA, we always implore that people that want to most times when we want to send out petition forms, we tell them, yes, sign this petition, or we tell you, yes, call the attention of the House of Rep, or sometimes we even go ahead in our content to call the attention of the elected officials that are responsible to ensure that promise is kept, right? So the next thing is the power of narrative. So apart from writing content and writing stories, the idea as content writers, or the idea as any communication specialist, is also how you yourself vocalize the impact, or the problem you are trying to solve, or whatever you're advocating for, is how you use your voice, or how you lend your voice to first picking the problem. So that's where the power of narrative comes from. So how you narrate the story also shows how you know about your right or what you're advocating for, right? So the first thing is to humanize the issue. So you know how I had used the story, I said you do research of people in the community, I found out 5 people had lost their life in the span of 1 year due to them not having access to an hospital. So when you're telling them, or when you're writing it, or when you're even sending the letter to the government, and you put that story there, you don't need to write their names. Just tell them the number of people that had died in a span of 1 year, and even possibly longer, based on the fact that they are not fulfilling that promise. Then make sure that the narrative for you is even relatable, because even if you are coming up with content, you are crafting up with content, you're coming up with ideas, if it's not relatable, if people in the community cannot connect with what you are saying, nobody's going to join to advocate for that change. So it's important that that's the forefront of any advocacy you're coming up with. So in a list of things, if you are going to be advocating for changing, maybe something related to the economy, something related to health, something related to maybe social issues, or something related to education or infrastructure, you have to ensure you are picking that problem, you've done your research, you'll be able to make it relatable for people, you'll be able to humanize the feeling of that idea to people, or the issue that you're addressing. You'll be able to also show the impact, positive and negative. So positively, what is the impact of an hospital in a community? Healthy people. When the community is healthy, that means they will have strength to go and work. When they work, they will improve the economy of the country. And if the economy of that community is improved, there's money to do more. That's even fix the road, provide electricity, right? In fact, hire more efficient people that can provide security for that community. That's the positive impact. The negative impact of that hospital not being there is that people are sick, people are dying, loss of life. Now, when people lose their life, people will migrate. Why would I stay in a community where people are dying? I have to leave that community now. If people migrate, that means there's low number of people there. If there's low manpower in a community, it's negative, because there's no impact. That community has no impact it's doing. Because people at the end of the day are impacts. Impacts don't just happen from nowhere. It doesn't happen from thin air. We humans are the impact we can give back to the community. Then motivate. So why I'm giving the positive and the negative, it is already serving as a motivation for people when they hear me. Like, yes, let's go and do this. Let's go, we can do this. Okay, so this is what we will do. I will retweet, I will tag my local government chairman, I will tag my state governor, I will tag my president. I can do this. It motivates them to want to do more, to want to take the next step, to want to take the next action. And that's the power of words or communication to people. Have you realized that you will hear a certain statement from maybe someone, and you just feel emotionally down? Is because the impact of that word to you is to affect your emotions. And you will hear a word from someone and it makes you feel happy. It's because the impact the person wants to give you is to give you joy. Same thing with sadness. Because at the end of the day, words are what drive the emotion inside us. They are what fuel a particular emotion to come out. You will see some people would insult you or be very, very derogatory. And there are two ways you can react to it. It's either you'll be sad or you'll be angry. Now, you see that anger and sadness is because I communicated, or that person communicated these words negatively to you, and it brought out the anger in you. The same way, in the light of advocacy, I can communicate this advocacy in a negative manner, or you can do it in a negative manner that community member will be like, this one did not even know what he's doing, get out of here. So, as simple as it may seem, is a very technical and delicate issue to knowing that when you are communicating your words, you should also not throw insult or all insult at anyone, because you are telling people to support you. Do you know how many people are actually, because we cannot also remove loyalty from one of the problems a lot of citizens have. So maybe loyalty to a political party or a particular person. What if community members they are worshiping their local government chairman, and you are going there telling that stupid man did not give hospital, go and break his head? Would you get a response? No, you would not. In fact, you might lose your life because you communicated wrongly. But when you tell them that I appreciate what your chairman has been doing, just last week he did this, 2 weeks ago he did this, but still he can do more. He promised us health, and with that health service will come, this is the positive impact, this is the negative impact, more lives will be saved. Let's take that action, let's take that step. It will inspire them, because you are not coming from a place of bias, you're actually coming from a place of care and love. And those two emotions are the ones that bring out the positive in anybody or anything. So in saying that, I want to give us, because I've been talking, but I want to also share success stories of our advocacy campaigns, like where we actually felt the impact. There are a lot, but I just picked two out of all that we've done so far at advocacy. So the first one is the just concluded um should I say it happened last year during November-ish, November, October. So in Ogun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun had promised that in 2 weeks, in the deadline of even, in a 2 week deadline, he will complete the Dero Ishashi Road project. And in even a maximum of 3 weeks, that all that road, active construction, would begin along Alagbole, Ayawele, Ajuwana, Kute Road. Now, before the activism, if you see the top place, you see how bad the erosion are taking over, you see the state of the road. That was the state of the road before the activism. So we've noticed that 3 weeks had passed and they had not even brought Okada to come and check the place, not talk of a tractor or even say they are bringing in sand. And that made us take steps, actionable steps. We had to highlight, who do we want to reach out to? We asked ourselves, how do we want to reach out to these people? We also had to highlight a lot of things. What kind of emotion are we going to show? We cannot just come and command citizens to go there. So how do we want to pass our message across? And based on that, we came up with writing a press release, to which we sent to newspapers. We sent this press release to journalists. We also went ahead to send letter to the respective office. We sent letter to the office of the governor. We sent letter to officials that were responsible to ensuring that is fulfilled. We also now hosted a social media campaign with videos of the road, pictures of the road, the impact of the road. There were times where people will fall off and hurt themselves. During rainy season, that area was nothing to write home about. So there were times people had been injured, children had been hurt. So we also had to portray the impact of that road. And when the governor had seen our words and also the letters we had sent, work began. And if you see it, this is how that area looks now. That's the image that you see below, because active work started few weeks after. Another one I would like to talk about is the legislative meter. I think Onye had been posting this to the community members, where in the Abuja Declaration in 2015, it was advised that there should be a 15% increment in the national budget for health. And we actually did take actionable steps also. We sent out press release. We sent out letters at Abuja to the respective office. Then we also went ahead with social media protests to tell them or remind them, because before the bill is passed, they had to include an increment into the health sector, because they must allocate high amounts into the health sector and all. And by February 13, if I'm correct, yes, an additional 300 billion was allocated to the health sector, right? So, as much as it's not the 15% by the Abuja Declaration, our impactful step was what brought them to make that decision. If everybody had kept quiet, it would be swept under the rug and they would just wave it off. They'll make a waiver over it. Like I said, our words hold power if we use it. So, arigato, thank you, eshegon. I think it's Odima. I don't know the other one. So, any questions? I will be taking questions now.
Okay, before we start asking our questions, I'm just going to drop the link to the attendance form in the chat so that we can actually fill that out. Thank you so much, AY, for that very impactful session. And I would have you guys know that AY is at the forefront of the advocacy campaigns at Advocacy Foundation. You know, last week, most of you talked about the issues that you're experiencing in your community. So if you need clarity on how to go about, advocating for these issues around you, now would be the time to ask, right? Because we have AY here to answer these questions. There was a hand up. Oh, okay. It's down now. But if you have questions for her, around the presentation, around how to successfully, run advocacy campaigns, what you can do, how you can communicate to make sure that your message is reaching the right people, you can ask the questions now. Mm. So I'll take it that everything it was Destiny, your hand is up. You can ask your question.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Ayomide, Onye. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for the privilege to ask my question. And I must commend your presentation. It's very nice, awesome, enjoyable, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Now, to my question, I would love to ask this situation where you've done all this, getting your target audience, reaching out to the right people, using the right frame of works, and then making it so simple that everyone understands and trying to pass across your information. You know, social media, in as much as it's a good platform for all, have also done a bad thing to our youth, young people, whom tend to, like I just say that social media, especially on Facebook, is so saturated that most persons are much more interested in, all those kids that don't just doesn't have a meaning. I don't know to them whether it has, but that is my own point of view. And when you try creating this advocacy online for people to support, some persons see it, oh, seem like a paymaster, because of the loyalties they might have to a party, because a political bulldozers, of like just say, they're just psychopaths political hallelujah boys because they are loyal to a particular party, a particular person. So they will not join hands. Rather, they will tell you, can't you thank the governor for what he has done? A practical example with what I'm trying to buttress here is I'm from Bonny State, and we'll be able to promote some advocacies, which one of them is back to school campaign, where we're advocating because in the southeast, when it comes to education, Ebonyi State is far backwards academically, where young guys immediately after their secondary school goes into hockey from there, mini jobs, and that is it. When they start thinking of how to get married and all that. So we enter into advocacy for the government to release money for us to bring these persons back to school, which the governor released a huge sum of money and handed it over to a minister who happens to up to this moment have not really accounted for what the money have used to do. Now, to just cut everything short, okay, fine, we are raising advocacy, come and give us account of what is going on. He went and released names that doesn't exist. They even call a number, they release name, contact, release, what they call it, bank account of some person that doesn't exist. For instance, I worked in the bank before now, and I know some code of different banks. I worked with Union Bank, so if I see a Union Bank account, I'll definitely identify it. Now, the account they released does not in any way align with the code of different banks. So, after all this, when
I'm sorry.
promoting,
I'm sorry. Thank God.
trying,
Before you continue, Musa, please can you mute your mic? Sorry, Musa, can you mute your mic? I can hear you clearly. Thank you. So you can continue now.
okay, now these young youth now because they are just there to praise the government and all those kind of things because they are being bought over or something. They are not seeing you as the enemy of the state. So once you just make a post, even if it's not attacking the government, just trying to buttress what you want the government to do, not for you, but for the interest of the youth and interest of the targeted audience, they will come under your post to just say your payments, using all kind of words that doesn't in any way depict your intentions and actions and all those kind of things. So in this scenario, as an advocate, what are you going to do, especially when you are no longer on ground? For instance, you are not in your state to take these letters to the various departments, ministries, and the only way you can do that is through online campaigning, tagging these persons. And in this situation, what are you going to do? Thank you very much. Are you the mic?
Okay, I would take your question and I would answer you with some actionable steps we take. So we know that we can't access all states because we advocacy members also have a house, right? We can't move or we can't see all 36 states. Now, what we do in some cases, we even go as far to partner with other CBOs or CSOs. So people tend to believe you more when you use an organization's name, not a personal name. When you use a personal name that is affiliated with you, people might see you as a noisemaker, maybe based on history, people's prerogative of what has been happening continuous time. You know how they trust somebody who advocates for change, and all of a sudden, the person just switch up when person goes into a political position. So now that's where partnership comes in. The more voice that is put into a step or action, the more change and impact it would make. And like you had said, you are demanding change that back to school is done. Now the question is, when you were doing this research, did you do data follow-up of the number of people that are now in school? Did you do a community, I don't know, where was the location of these schools? What was their students the um before the promise was made? What is the number of students they have after the promise was made? Now, if you had partnered with other CBOs or CSOs or non-governmental organizations, they can lend you people that live in that locality. Like we have a community here at Advocacy, where what these community members do is lend us their legs and their time. So what I mean lend us their leg, what I mean by lend us their leg is they go to this place to help us do research. They go to this place to take pictures for us, to give us the number, to give us the data that we can use to further ahead. The names and the accounts they are giving us is not our business. If it's ghost, if it's not ghost, it's not our business. But are they students going to school or not? Because what you are saying, if I got the promise you were trying to track down was that the governor of Ebonyi State, you said Ebonyi, if I'm correct, had promised that um back to school children, that means there'll be more children going to schools. So what is the number? So when you're responding to this post, you would not really look at the youth, because people, when they see you speak, can also change attention. Now, people's attention are the most easiest to change. The same mouth that is telling you yes today will tell you no tomorrow. But the only way you can take that attention, the only way you can attract that attention from them is what you are telling them. So even if it's giving you account number, it's not your business. All you ask, how many students are going back to school now? Because you have the right as citizens to demand those numbers. And it's not the numbers they will give you, it's the numbers the school will give you. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes. So partnership is also important in communication. Like I said, when you know your target audience, based on what you did, you've noticed your target audience and their behavior. So how would you go about to make them understand the need for that particular promise to be met? The impact of education to the average citizen. What is the impact? The impact of poverty, or what is the link between poverty and on education? Make them see it, and make them see that what the change you are trying to go for, or the change you are trying to take a step for, is not for yourself. It's for everybody as a community. There's no, even to the strongest of mind, everybody, even to the most stubborn of people, know when you are speaking the truth. The ability to know the truth when you see it is a gift that was given to every human being. So I feel that is the perfect answer to your question.
All right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Dan Laddie, you have a question for me?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, AY. I most appreciate you for doing justice to this presentation. My question is this. You agree with me that in this country where we have communities where they have little or no access to information because of the level of how remote those communities are.
Mm-hmm.
And with challenges, how affecting them, and perhaps um, and perhaps either on the part of either the radio stations are not really available for them to get access to good information that they can hold those political holders accountable to some of those promises that they made. How does this communication as a very viable tool that can reach out to that we can get that level of opportunity for those communities that don't have access to information based on these reasons that actually spell it out. Thank you.
Like you said, there's one thing that they've used to keep us in blind in Nigeria that we've noticed is access to informations. And that's why, if you notice, if you follow up, like I said, partnership and follow up, you can't do it alone. This fight, this advocacy we are taking on, this fight for change, positive change in Nigeria, is not a one man's action, it's not a one man step. So the question at the end of the day is, how many of these organizations do you know that even give you information, basic data, basic facts, basic numbers? Not the one that somebody cooks up. Example, how many promises have your governor made to you before entering office? Those promises is where you would now focus on, because you cannot make large I would say I will use the word large. You cannot make large research. Your eyes cannot be in everywhere. So when you are making a focus on one promise, that particular promise will now help you streamline the type of research you will do. It will streamline the type of advocacy you will do, the manner at which you would advocate for this change, the manner of communication, or the element, or the type of communication that you're going to go for. Right? So if a promise is made concerning road, asking their community members that have been there for years, asking them, when last have they seen? You can do door-to-door research. The perfect type of research for most Nigerians actually is a focus group research. So you can sit with a certain people, just go there, be like you want to buy soft drink. Oh, this road, since when has it been like this? Yeah, this road, really this long? You keep that. That's your own form of research. Then apart from that, you can actually, most community, we believe there is no data, but there is, but it's hidden for us, except if you look for it. So you can go into different like local governments actually have like a book where they do research. So the local governments, most local government actually do like a census, kind of a census, where they keep data facts, right? So if you partner with, like I said, partnership is important. If you partner with certain CSOs or non-governmental organizations that have been doing movement on that particular promise, you can actually get more data from them on that and improve on it. That way you can now bring it in layman term, in simplest English, to the average citizen to read it, to see it, and to know what you are trying to tell them. So it would not be the same thing of, oh, based on what I heard, this is good. Where did they hear it from? How did they hear it from? So the same manner at which most corrupt officials used to give them information, you can give them the correct information in that manner. I hope you know sometimes there's this thing where we do where they would hire some people to just go to different communities, sit down like they want to buy drink. The same thing I said you should do. And they will start telling them, do you know in 1960 they have never been lights, but this man when he got there he made lights. And they'll be like, eh? Now when you which you've partnered with NGOs, you have this data, you have this fact, and you go there and you tell them and they are defending it blatantly. You ask them, where did you get yours from? And you tell them this, and this. Trust me, because there is nothing that Nigerians believe more than when the average person tells them something, right? So if you are working with community, yes, education is not something that, as much as a lot of us have sadly we've gone through our tertiary education, we should know that we are not still literate enough in issues of politics and governance. So the action we have to take is baby steps, at the same time actionable steps, right? So partnership is really important for us, especially for non-NGOs. So all NGOs, what we do is we partner together. We don't do our things alone, right? And even if we are doing it, even if we are trying to advocate for a change, we look at it from the angle of how much data does this local government have? Okay, which of these citizens have been here longer than the rest? There's some people that just came there 1 week. Do you think they would know anything about them? Go deep, research deep. It would help. That's how you get your research. But if you want to say you want to know all the fact about that community from A to Z, it will be very difficult to get that. Did that answer your question, Dan Ladi?
Okay, thank you very much. I think you've done that. But just to add to what I actually asked, I could remember there was a particular construction project that was awarded like almost 7 times from different governments that was in a particular period of time. And asking questions about the road project that was actually awarded several times. Most of the government that will come when they were approached, and the only thing they will mention that they were not aware that the project, because based on the report they got, that a, a design and a picture of a design well constructed was sent to them to the government office that the road was fully constructed. and getting the fact that these routes were not never been even touched from the beginning. So, and when those governments were approached, that's the question. I'm not sure that this information you're giving, because this is a project that was delivered, filled, and done. So in this kind of case, that government has come and passed. Another government saying that I don't think I can handle this again because it was not given to. So what do we need to do as responsible change makers to see that this kind of situation is being resolved for this community to enjoy amenities?
Good road. Yes. So, first off, you take pictures of that road. You take pictures of the road where it is at that moment. Now, definitely, if it was awarded, then there's a book for it somewhere. There's always a book for it somewhere. It can be an affirmative post on social media, maybe from the maybe the special assistant to that particular governor or that particular person, that said, oh yes, this contract will be awarded. You follow up. So when you have it, you have the screenshot of it. So when they say, oh, I have no idea it was awarded, show them that screenshot. Show them. You said it yourself. At least I can't cook up numbers. This is the date at which it was said. Now, this is the date of the former one. This is the date of the former one. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Keeping track is not only by numbers. Like I said, our way of gathering data is not so strong. It's improving because that's where websites like Promise Tracker is important. Like now, if not that Promise Tracker is just going on a year this year, you can use that kind of website to have screenshot of these promises. You made this promise, because every website, if you look at promises on Promise Tracker, there's a source there. Look at that source, read the source. So yeah, this was where this was gotten from. So you said it. So if you had said it and this past governor have said it, then this road, then when they say it, definitely there's a source for where they said it. So if they said something and it's not on social media, it's not in a book, you don't have access to download their manifesto, then they didn't say it. Does that also, is that a way of answering your question?
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. AG4, you have a question for me.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ayomide, and thank you, Onyechi, and every other persons listening to me. It's a privilege. My questions are as follows. I am having this. I'm trying to understand the best strategies. The best strategies to involve the youth and the issue of advocacy around their local communities, and probably in the space of social media and in physical contact. I don't know if you get the question, like the best strategies to involve the youth, because I think the youth are the drivers of or the catalysts for this social change, for keeping our leaders accountable, because I think they are more informed and they have more information at their disposal. So I don't know if there will be an answer to that. The best strategies to engage the youth, to involve them in the issues of advocacy around their local communities, either using social media or physical contact. I believe that decisive followership leads to a progressive leadership. So if there will be an answer to this, I will really be glad to get them. And then my second question is, in a scenario of an abandoned project, I have some examples of roads, hospitals, and schools. Uh, Maybe after confirming them, how do an advocate go about the data you have gathered from them, and how can you push further, either engaging the locals or the government in power to get this project on track, or to a kind of draw attention. Yes, I know the fact of bringing it to promise tracker, making videos and all that, gathering data, but as an advocate, how do we, how do we, uh, what is the next step after getting those data, after taking pictures and verifying that those projects were really awarded? Because I have a scenario in Imo State where currently two different local governments abandoned road, then abandoned hospital, abandoned university, abandoned secondary schools, abandoned primary schools. And the most disturbing one is the abandoned medical center or a hospital. So, sorry, are you with me?
Yes, I am here. I'm
Oh,
here.
oh, okay. So, cumulating this information together, I don't know if there are best practices we need to do, or we need to involve, or we need to engage to
Okay.
get this, yes, these projects that have been abandoned uh, into the limelight. Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Yes. So everything I said, if if you watch the video and you read the slide, all comes down to the answer to your question. But I will break it down in bits. First of
All
all,
right.
every elected governor has made a promise. Now, you have written a list of all the abandoned projects. It would be to your benefit if he made a promise concerning that particular abandoned project. So, example, let's put attention into the hospital. If any of his promise was around rebuilding that hospital that is abandoned, ensure that your advocacy is between the 4 year period of his manifesto, because after he leaves the office, you can't call him back, right? Except if he's going for a rerun, maybe a second term. But you cannot also call him to check on something he's rerunning on. So this is where I'm coming from. So if he had made a promise he's going to fix this hospital and ensure it's back to a good glory where the average citizen can go to the hospital, right? You follow up on that. You start there. So, or if you want them to do everything all at once, you will bombard yourself and you will end up being the person that nags a lot, not making advocacy, not creating change. So if you had made a promise, like I said, check those promises. Start with checking this elected official promise. I guess you said, if I got you correctly, you said you're from Imo, right? So the governor of Imo, or the local government chairman of Imo, when he went to office, what were the promises he made? When you write that down, look at each of those promises that is targeted towards the advocacy that you believe is going to have high impact to the community members of that area. So if you had said, like I said, the hospital, then after a year, bring it to his attention. You made this promise, on so day before you were elected. I would implore you, make this promise, you fulfill this promise, because this is the impact of that promise. This is the this of that promise. Now you post about it. You gather around, the community members in that area. In advocacy, it's always very important for you to be the friend of everybody and the enemy of nobody. So the people automatically will trust you to knowing
Sorry.
that.
Yeah, I just wanted to get something. And the place you said you have to engage either the local government chairman or the governor, trying to bring to their knowledge or their attention about those
Mhm.
projects which align with your advocacy, meaning that you have to kind of pay them a visit or write them a letter. How do you go
Yes,
about that, please?
yes. At advocacy, we have a drafted letter. Like I said, partnership is important. If you want to create change, you cannot do it alone. So if there's a broken promise or there's a promise that calls for attention, tag the NGOs that do that, because only you might not make that change. But they also know that most of these NGOs are funded by organizations of very big names, and there is nobody that wants their name to be tarnished. So imagine if organizations like Advocacy or Tracker, they start calling your name when you're, and most of these elected officials avoid their names being called. So you send organizations like that a message: this is the promise, this is what I've gathered over time, this is what he has not done. Now with that, they can even tell you, okay, since you have full knowledge of that, then follow on. Then you have the backing of that NGO. Now with the backing of the NGO comes two things: financial resource. Financial resource is not just money to beg people, because the moment you start bribing people to help you, you are no different from the elected official that is holding that position. But financial resource for you to go further to do a research. So also sending a letter to help with maybe transportation to other people that you want to send the letter to, send the letter to the office. Maybe your house is not near the governor's office, but there's somebody that their house is near the governor's office, but they are limited in finance to go and drop that letter. Right? Sometimes this NGO can even help you drop the letter in their name, because also we cannot deny that name is very important at the end of the day. So if there's a track record for the organization that yes, they've said things, they've proven it, and they've created change in their way, why not go for them? Most times, we send letters to, we send press release, or even follow up remark on our advocacy to newspapers. We send it to newspapers. We send it to certain voices that are known to advocate for change, right? In our own way. Apart from the fact that we also send out our advocates to drop off letters in the office in places we cannot do that. We also partner with organizations to ensure that yes, while we are talking, they are also lending their voice. If you look at this popular, I don't know who knows Apoko Doctor. Apoko Doctor just made an advocacy for an hospital where was abandoned. There was no facility there. Sadly, nurses even had to use torchlights to perform operations on um on women that are just giving birth, because the maternity healthcare center. Now his advocacy campaign was calling out the citizens. He was there physically doing a video of the hospital round. Now when he did that, NGOs also, went ahead to join him in that voice. Citizens, yes, donated, but with their money, like, how many donations will citizens make when an elected official had made a promise to do that? So some people actually called the attention of the governor of that state to involve themselves into the issue at hand. And positively, the hospital got very good amenities there. So like I said, it's we in Nigeria are used to going through the man of war tactics: go there and raise placards. Raising placards is also a form of advocacy, but it's a form when it is needed, when that is the last resort. When we've sent letter and is ignored, when we've said or spoken on social media and it is ignored, when we've called out this person and they're ignoring our voices, and we know if we don't call out their names before they finish their 4 years, then it is gone. That's when placards can now be raised. So does that answer your question, Ejiofor?
Yeah, I did. I think you did justice to the second question and that of the first question, although partially you touched it concerning the youth involvement in advocacy, both on social media and physical contact. So, but I think it was my network. I didn't get the whole gist on your lecture, but I think I got a good number of it. But if you can still refer back to it, this first question, I will really appreciate. Thank you.
The truth is, since I was speaking from my heart, I won't be able to say them verbatim. But the moment the recordings will be sent out, definitely you can tune in and listen to that to also help you get full overview of what I had been talking about from the beginning.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.